Vale's geotechnical structures. So we're very honoured to have him here today to give us a rundown on Vale's approach to monitoring. Thanks very much.
Thank you, David, and thanks for inviting Vale to share this presentation here today. So I'm Lucas. I'm corporate general manager for Vale. I'm responsible for the risk, geotechnical risk. So I'm not the technology guy. I'm the risk guy, but the things are pretty much connected. And so I will bring you guys to Brazil now. So share the experience that we have there in terms of our monitoring system. So I'm going to present, it's not a specific case for one dam because we lawyers would not allow it to do it, and I should have more slides on disclaimer than the content. So I present Vale Geotechnical Monitoring Center, geotechnical monitoring devices, dam safety systems, and automatic activation of sirens. So let's start with this one. So in Vale, we have three geotechnical monitoring centers in our three corridors. I will explain later, next slide what these corridors. But what is something that happened, especially after Brumadinho, so the legislation requires now that 24 hours more dedicated monitoring center for all the dams with high association potential damage. It's a Brazilian classification, but it should be like extreme and very high consequence. So we'll talk about corridors. We're pretty much how what connects the mines, the railroad, and the port. So that's why we have three big corridors in Brazil. So and so this is the team involved with this one. We have the teams, of course, in their 24 7 days a week to do all these tasks here. To do all these tasks you can see right here. And we also have a geotechnical engineer team. So based on my understanding here, so AI is not ready to take over the job of these guys. So we don't have to fire them for now. So which is good. So it's still human beings doing the data analysis and investigation. And we have also a drone team. And so now just showing you having some numbers. So one of the corridors, sub corridors, is do the surveillance of 50 dams. So it's the big quantity. So have a big screens. So if you welcome when you go to Brazil to visit them, it's pretty interesting. And also Southeast corridors, it's for 64 dams. And you see the date here, start of operations. So pretty much them were this one, Brumadinho happened in January. So 1 month later, so we had this monitoring center in place. This one in the same year, and the third one 1 year later, the North Corridor. So we can. So today for our classification is extreme, very high consequence. We had these these monitoring center. And the devices are here, so more quantities, numbers of instruments. As my colleagues here said, they're not here for fun. And of course, and also it will be just meaningless have this quantity if it was not connected to failure mode. So it's not just drop fancy instruments there. So it needs to be again connected to a failure mode. I heard this many times here, so and I was happy with that, and we do. So we do. Now I said I'm the risk guy, so we do risk assessment, and during the risk assessments, this is exactly what we do. So we also check which instrument is can can prevent a major failure and detect which one it's really important. It's really critical. So we have another system that we flag this few of them as critical, so they receive more love. Let's put it this way. This is just a list of devices that we have. So we've seen many presentations here. So I don't want to be more of the same. So we have monitoring devices to the water level to measure deformation, vibration, rainfall, remote inspection, emergency monitoring. So and in terms of systems, and we have automated data, we have manual data, non-conventional, and video monitoring, and all of them go to this two system because it's not, we don't use spreadsheets as we talked of here earlier. So of course, so we have a system to receive all this data, process, and also when we have the site inspection. So this inspection also goes inside this system here, and also when it's required to do any maintenance. So the site engineer will indicate, okay, we need to clean the superficial drainage or cut the grass or whatever. This is the system where the management is done. And the second one is more visual. It's because all the instruments they have tops, and when we reach some of the limits, that it will pop up the screen of the people monitoring these things. So a little bit of a communication. So we have the Geotechnical Monitoring Center. The EOR has full access to the data. So it's not the EOR does not have to ask the site engineer to get the data, because otherwise you could create filter on this. So he can, I don't know, Sunday evening, instead of Netflix, go and see a camera of his dam or her dam, how it is, so, and how he's behaving. So we have this full system here, also connect to the RTFE. And also reminder, we also have ITRBs. Of course, ITRBs do not need to have access to look in details, but it's also checking the health of the system. And something else also that's happening in Brazil right now, it's the legislator is asking to have access to the data. So, and something that will happen soon. It's we became a law maybe, and it's so since Brazil sometimes we create new trends on the legislation. So this is another one that is coming. So, and yeah, because I thought what would also be different in Brazil, one of the things is also the sirens. It's mandatory to have sirens for all of the dam with extreme and very high consequence. So in Valley we have 380 sirens. So it's a hell of a job to maintenance and to connect all these things. So I will show which instruments will detect any collapse, and this is the communication flow, let's put it this way, because it's not just if an instrument detects something, we still need someone to make sure it's not a noise or it's like yeah, I will explain better here. So I will show on my 3 missing slides here, so which are the instruments to automatically activate sirens. One of them is radar, is the Doppler, is right here. And it's automated, but it's not connected. There is a field, it still goes through the monitoring center because what it happened is that exactly in this case, we had a bird that came. I think if it's a bird that it goes this way, we're not making too much things, but this bird passed exactly such way that indicates that, okay, the dam is falling. And so you have someone in the monitoring system, okay, you have this alarm and this person do a quick check, see the camera, okay, no, it's false. And so we will not activate the sirens, and which is a big thing. So you evacuate city of 20,000 people, and so not the 20,000 people, but the affected people there. And Titimer is another instrument that we use for this. And as you know, the alert depends on the variation of the inclination. And this is my last slide. And I was the siren itself. And it's more confirming what I said here. So this is the quantity of sirens that we have, but it's not enough. We are struggling to have to be able to buy the quantity that we need. So I had my colleagues that went to Norway to find ways of because now also we're trying to integrate all these sirens with globally in the government. I think in Norway you have this integrated system, I think. But anyway, I deviated here. But the point is, and yeah, so this is they have test silence test done daily or weekly. We have monthly with sound, and we have annual drills, and including evacuation of the population, and of course with the sirens being used. So yeah, that's it.
Well, Lucas has been pretty quick with that, so I think we've got a couple of minutes if someone wanted to ask him a question. I think we're happy to answer it. We're not very interested in these sirens, and Leandro didn't talk about the siren at Hidden Valley, but he had a picture of one, and it's pretty interesting. And it must be interesting how you acclimatise the population to the trials and stuff like that. So I'd like to ask you about that. How do you actually communicate with the community to advise them there's going to be a siren, and what do they think of it, do you think?
Yeah, in Brazil, because we had the 270 fatalities, so the population there became scared of the dams. So it was easier in terms of the approach for the bad reason, but it was not done by us. We geotechnical engineer. We're training to do stability analysis, not to talk to people. So we have a team there. To talk to do the drills, and yeah, it's done. It's all the drills. We have also people for the government and the similar firefighters and stuff. They go there too, and specialists even take notes how much this person takes the time to get out of the inundation zone. So it's pretty much detailed, and even is also after the drills, we have a list of lessons learned and to what we can improve next. So we have track all that.
Okay.
Yeah, just another point, just important here about mining industry in Brazil, because most of the dense state facilities we have in Brazil is in the middle of the city. Not because the facility was built on that place, because the city grown around or surround the facilities. So that's become a huge issue for the miners in Brazil. That's the reason we have this amount of sirens around 380. It's a massive amount of sirens. And if you mentioned you have a 5 along of 25 kilometers in Brazil, is much more than that. Some of the things, right? Very easy. Great approach.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's something that's probably going to become more and more common, because even in Australia, there's some dams that I'm involved with where the owner is realising they have to probably come up with something like this, and they haven't really done any community consultation, and they've probably got a very bad relationship with the community in a lot of ways. So it's going to be very difficult, and so yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing.
No, yeah, it's difficult. I live in Canada, so in Canada it's also very difficult. That even people, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want a siren there, and so the price of the terrain will decrease.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's different. You see, it's a totally different. But Brazil, again, because of what happened, and it's mandatory to put the siren there. So
yeah. So in retrospect, it's something that I didn't think about as far as the course goes, but it's good that it's come up. That that is the ultimate thing at the end of all our monitoring and surveillance and stuff. That the warning systems, we probably need to think pretty carefully about them too. So come out here and get the photograph taken.
all right.
Thank you very much for receiving me at the last minute.
Thank you.
All right, so it's a few. I'm getting a bit weary, but what? Okay. Right, we've now got 2 more to go. Then we'll get on to the exciting presentation of a Piezometer Prize. So we've now got Kumar Moria from NTPC. Where's he gone? I didn't introduce Vinod before, but he's got a pretty good CV here. He joined NTPC in 2004 after graduating Master of Technology, Geotech Engineering from IIT Delhi in 2002. And over the last 20 years, he's contributed significantly in various areas of geotechnical engineering in the company. He's played a key role in planning, engineering and execution of various components of NTPC's first mega hydro project. But he's also been instrumental in planning, engineering and design of all kinds of ash disposal systems for 25 thermal plants for NTPC in India. So thank you, Vinod.
Thank you, Mr. David. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Myself, Vinod Kumar Moria. I'm working in NTPC. This presentation is about the recent innovative practice, what we have adopted in data acquisition in the ash pond, which is a tailing of the ash. Actually, this NTPC is in the thermal power business and other hydro and all other power business, but majorly we are generating the power from the thermal power. In thermal power, we are burning the coal, and huge quantity of the ash is getting generated because unfortunately Indian coal is having a very high ash content. It's in the range of 40 to 50%. So that's why we are requiring a huge ash ponds and a lot of burden on the geotechnical engineers to design and monitor and maintain the ash ponds. So this is about one of the practice which recently we have evolved in the data acquisition and monitoring. So the brief will be introduction and what coal ash disposal systems we are following in NTPC with some of the recent developments in the disposal systems, and what are the challenges and risks in our tailing dams. That tailing dams we have named as ash dikes, and what are the conventional surveillance and monitoring systems which we have been adopting previously, and then innovative practice, and then the learnings from this innovative practice. In the introduction, you can see the picture. In the typical Indian thermal power plants, we are burning the coal, and the ash is getting generated. It is coming in the two form basically. This coarser fraction is as a bottom ash, which is around 20%, and fine fraction it is coming in the electrostatic precipitators. So that is around 80%. And the fine fly ash is in the range of silt to clay particle sizes, having pozzolanic properties, but the bottom ash is not having any pozzolanic properties. It is rather in the medium to fine sand. So understanding all those properties of the fly ash and bottom ash, we are designing our this ash dikes as a tailing dam, and then we are using these materials also in constructing the tailing dams. So what are the different uh, lagoons what we are adopting in disposal systems? You can see at the top right, there are three lagoon systems. Bottom ash lagoon, there are two bottom ash lagoons and one SCSD lagoon. SCSD is a very thick concentrated slurry disposal system which we have evolved in the last 10 years to dispose the ash, fly ash, basically to reduce the impact on the water environment by reducing the consumption of the water. Earlier, we have been disposing the ash in the ash pond lagoons by using the wet slurry method. So with the adoption of this high concentration slurry method, now this environmental impact is minimized. At the bottom right, you could see there are different sequential dikes at the periphery, and at the right most there is an overflow lagoon. So initially we are constructing the starter dam, which is in the blue at the starter phase, and then progressively as the ash pond's capacity is getting exhausted, we are constructing the raising dikes with the use of the tailing materials itself. Fine fly ash is getting used in the raising construction, and the bottom ash is getting used in the internal drainage in the chimney blanket and the rock toe filters. So this way we are using our tailings in the construction of the this tailing dams. And then the disposal bottom ash we are doing with the wet method, so that water we are removing continuously from the ash pond to utilize more of the capacity, and that is done with the decanted well system that is provided at the center, that is progressively raised as soon as the capacity is getting exhausted, and that well is releasing the water with the underground pipes in the overflow lagoon. That is basically a chamber collecting the water for further reuse of the water. So what we are doing, we are reducing the impact on the water also. Initially, we are taking the water for making ash slurry, and then we are continuously recirculating this. So this way, and this water consumption is reduced, and by adopting the high concentration slurry for fly ash, we are reducing the further water requirements. So these are the typical coal ash disposal systems adopted in NTPC. At the one number, wet disposal in the ash pond, typical wet disposal system you will see. Second is the high concentrated slurry disposal system. Third one is the dry disposal system. We are creating ash mounds. Uh, Recently, we have adopted for this ash mounds in the new plants also. Previously, we have already achieved up to 55-meter high dry ash mounds. And then mine whites, this coal mines from where the coal is coming, that after abandonment of the mines, we are backfilling the mines with the coal ash as a wet disposal system that is reflected in this system 4. So there are some geotechnical challenges which we are facing in the ash dikes, which is a kind of tailing dams. It's related to safety and stability. There are seepages from the dike body. There are issues of distress and settlement. Then there are issues of longitudinal and transverse cracks, erosion of the downstream slopes, rain cuts, and during ash evacuation, distress in the upstream slopes. and then rat holes leading to piping, and non-uniform filling of the ash pond is also creating a fugitive dust emission and then environmental pollution. And overfilling above the freeboard level has been also an issue. Vegetation on the downstream slope of the dike body due to the climatic condition has also created some of the distress because huge vegetation, if timely not removed, then it is uh, creating a downstream slope failures. So the conventional surveillance system, what we have been adopting previously, there is guidelines for each of the phase, guidelines for the operation and maintenance we have. It's a very detailed guidelines we have been following. And then there are the guidelines for the fugitive dust control systems, and then guidelines with the checklist in the ASTIC inspection. In this, there were cross-functional committees uh, from different departments having different exposure levels. They were physically visiting the sites and taking the measurements, and then those datas are collected and processed and then further transmitted to the designer and the responsible people for taking any actions. And regular audit were also conducted, that is still continued. So this helps in checking any mistakes which our team is committing, in-house team is committing. So this is done through the panel of external experts, and including the IITs and the renowned in the fields. And the innovative practice, what we have evolved, that we have digitized one of the monitoring system. In this, we have developed one mobile app, like we are, everybody is using mobile. So it was thought that if we could develop a mobile app, and then conventional practice, if it is converted in the monitoring at the field and putting the data in the mobile app, then it will can be immediately transferred to the concerned designers and the monitors who need to take the action. So this innovative practice has helped in digitalization of our estate, and it has reduced the time lag between inspection and the report generation. And it highlights the issues in different colors so that we can take the action. Even the people who are not like some of the seniors in the organizations who are supposed to take the decisions, they can go through the alarming signals and the signs of those datas, like we have incorporated in the red and orange. Orange is alarming and the red indicates that it will uh, it may create a issue of breach. So this way, the people who are not familiar with the asterisks and tailing dams, but they are at the top level of the organization, they may also understand the criticality of the data, and they can instruct the for immediate actions to avoid any future distress and the breach in the process. So this lagoon parameters, what we have identified in the mobile app generation, these are some of the parameters. It's a big list which we have identified to incorporate in the mobile app. So this like rolling plan, what is the plan of this particular tailing dam, what is the existing situation and what is the next planning for use, and then what is space available, whether stability is recently done or not, and stability check is done or not, mock drills conducted or not, what are the water levels, what are the design freeboard levels, whether freeboard levels. So these are assigned a particular color code. In the second column you could see, and there are reference documents also for the concern to, if he wants to go for the further details, what are the actual implication of these particular parameters. So these are the give identified and then incorporated in the mobile apps. Further, another parameters, whether any ash surface exposed, if ash surface is exposed, then what is the water level. So different parameters, and then color codes based on their severity of the issues, and their references from where the details can be obtained. Further 17 to 20, you could see on upstream slope what is the condition, downstream slope what is the condition, and the color code, which category it falls, what alarm it should give based on that. And then another 21 to 26, you would see at the top of dike what are the rain cuts, gullies, and then whether toe drain is functioning or not, what is the condition of the toe drain based on the actual site conditions, what actual feature is coming in our aesthetics that are incorporated. Another 27 to 31, and the number of raisings which we have done, and then whether there is any blockage in the cross pipe drains. So all those parameters are explored, and then based on our experience, we identified, and then based on the failure mode analysis, we identified what is the contribution of the individual parameters. Accordingly, we have assigned the orange and the red codes, color codes, to trigger the alarming systems. And this is the screenshot of our mobile app interface, what we are presently using. This name of this mobile app is As Dikes Inspection App. So there is a team who is having the user ID and the password, and they are responsible and accountable for feeding the data based on the instruments installed at the ASDICs and the field observation and the other observations taken from the drone survey and other picture photographs. So this is the screenshot, and the further the inspection, the data what need to be filled in what format. This is the another screenshot. This is the another screenshot in which way it has been incorporated based on the color codes and based on the parameters severity. Different screenshots I have just indicated, just to show you that every parameter what was identified, how it has been incorporated in the app development, so that whatever outcome is coming, that is really reflecting what is intended for it. This is the another screenshot. So all the details are filled by the responsible, accountable people at our respective sites. And then this summary report is generated immediately. That summary reports highlights this observations in different colors. And then based on this, alarm goes to the respective concerned business unit heads, concerned general managers, concerned cross-functional team, and designers. And based on the alarm codes of the red signal, it is immediately reflected in the mobile of the designers and the people who are responsible to take immediate actions. So the conclusions, learnings, what we have uh, um, found that this mobile app is helping in sending the prompt alerts to all the station engineering and the operating stations to timely take the actions without any lag, which our conventional system was creating the lag in data collection and then alarming the concerned people to take the action. And it highlights the deviated parameters in different color codes and avoids the subjectivity in the drawing any reference. Along with the pictures, it gives better and faster understanding of the issue. And all the previous inspection reports of more than 120 lagoons are available at one place. So suppose particular station is creating any alarm system, so remaining stations can also be taken as a reference that whether the similar problem is coming in the other stations or not. So based on that, our designers and people who are responsible for taking action, they immediately go through all the references. and the tab, namely all lagoon status is provided on the dashboard of the mobile app, and it is indicating that our station is in the safe zone or alarming zone or distress zone. So with this, it serves as the best platform for further initiatives. What we are taking that, like a lot of learnings I took from the previous sessions, that data logger is there, a lot of other sensors are there. So with the help of those, we can further evolve our and improve this system. So this was the one system which recently we have identified and we have adopted, and I wanted to share this system with you. Thank you. So,
Thanks very much.
thank you.
Come over
Thank
here.
you.
Okay? Come over here. Very impressed with that.
Thank you.
Very, very wonderful. Okay, one more to go, and then we can pick up and go. But first of all, we've got Brent Randall from Capital Scientific. Yep. Is he here? Yep. Okay, Brent. So Brent is an application engineer of geotechnical instrumentation at Campbell Scientific. So he'll lead us through what they're up to. Thanks, Brent.
Thank you. Because this is the last presentation of the day, I'd like to try and get us out of here a little quicker. So I've condensed it from 3 hours to 2.5 hours for everybody. So we'll see if we can make some good time here. See if I can get this. All right, so I'm going to talk today about a case study on vibrating wire sensors. And vibrating wire sensors can be noisy under certain conditions, and it makes the data questionable. So we're going to talk about this case study of how to eliminate it. So several years ago, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers contacted Campbell Scientific and said, we've got a dam that is very similar to many other dams in our portfolio. This dam has got a lot of noise spikes and data that we don't really trust. So we throw the noise spikes out. It takes a lot of time to post-process those noise, and we'd like to see if we can eliminate that. Can you help us? And we said, yes, we can. So this is the Rend Lake. So we went out, worked with the Corps of Engineers to do a case study to test the monitoring system they had and see if we could improve it. And so when you look at the dam, you can see the concrete spillway portion here is really a small part of the dam. The bulk of the dam is a large earthen dam, and they have 3 main monitoring stations in it: RMU1, RMU2, and RMU3. On those stations, I've got some of the sensors highlighted in red that are the sensors that had known noise issues. And so let's take a look at what that noise looked like. On RMU1, you can see here the lake level. All of this is from the automated station, and you've got 3 piezometers here. 2 of those piezometers are showing spikes. I'm just curious, by a raise of hands, how many of you have seen noise in vibrating wire data before on your systems? Okay, so this is not an unfamiliar experience. So these spikes are questionable. So when you've got some spikes in the dam that are lower than the reservoir level, that's concerning. That could be piping, but if it's a noisy sensor, it's kind of the boy who cried wolf. You don't know if it's bad data or piping. When you've got spikes that show pore pressure far above the lake level, pretty safe to say that's not real data. So the sensors really have become questionable. The other station was showing dips. So they only had one sensor here that was a bad sensor, but it would dip very, very bad. Pretty sure we didn't suddenly lose pore pressure in the dam. So that's a known bad sensor. So what we did is we went out, and they had an older technology that's based on period averaging. And I'm going to explain how these technologies work to analyze vibrating wire sensors. We replaced that old technology with a new technology called spectral analysis. If you're like me, I remember doing fast Fourier transforms in school. I couldn't do them today. They're all automated, and that's how we get the spectral analysis technology. So let's look at period averaging, the older style technology. What happens is you get a vibrating wire signal that's a frequency signal, it's a voltage. And as that signal crosses 0 volts, the data logger will count how many crossings it has. And the number of crossings over time is how you determine frequency. It's a pretty simple method. It works really well in many conditions. But what happens? Why do we get noise? Well, what you have is you have a sensor signal, and then you get some sort of additional signal that comes in, noise. It can come from electric motors. Power lines is one of the most common noise sources. For some reason, a lot of dam engineers like to locate power plants on dams, which complicates some of those measurements. So by the time you get the sensor and the noise signal back to the data logger, the signal that the data logger receives is not the same signal that the sensor output. And so when you look back at that original sensor signal, and now you introduce noise, in this case, there are a lot of 0 crossings that were incorrectly identified or missed. And so that's the period averaging. So spectral analysis is a little bit different. It receives this complex signal with lots of different waveforms in it, and it performs a fast Fourier transform, and it breaks it down mathematically into individual signals. Then we can look at that and determine which one of those signals is the sensor, and then we ignore the rest of the noise. We don't get rid of the noise, we see it, we just choose to not interpret that as sensor data. And so there's 2 ways to look at that. The first way is you can look at the signal with respect to time. So here you have the frequency, your x-axis is time. When you perform the fast Fourier transform, you look at the exact same signal, but now you look at it in frequency instead of time. So if you look here, this is in frequency, so this would be in hertz, and you can see there is a strong signal here. A little hard for me to see distance, but I'm going to say that's about 2,000 hertz. And there's another second signal at about 6,000 hertz. This would be the sensor, and this would be ignored and not considered the sensor in this case. And we'll look at a couple different sensor outputs from the dam and help you guys see how those work. So what we did is we switched out 2 of the stations to the new technology that uses the spectral analysis. And then we left one of the stations with the old technology. We wanted to leave that as a control point to make sure that the noise continued and we didn't suddenly get good measurements, and we wanted to make sure it was a good test. So moving forward, while we were out there, we did a bunch of analysis on the individual sensors. This right here is what I would call a textbook perfect vibrating wire sensor. No noise was coming in. You have a very clean signal that goes back and forth, and that signal is 1 key frequency at about 2,700 hertz. A little bit far for me to read there, but so that would be a typical response from a piezometer. Perfect, okay? Let's look at some of the other signals and we'll compare these. This is another sensor. Again, very, very good signal, and it has 1 core frequency. So I would describe this as a good sensor. Now, when you look, I'm going to jump back and forth between these 2 and help you see some of the differences. Notice this sensor has a strong signal that continues for a long period of time. This sensor gets quiet quickly. That signal gets small. That's fine. Vibrating wire sensors, every single vibrating wire sensor that you get will behave slightly different. That doesn't mean it's a bad sensor. It means it's a unique scientific sensing device. Nothing concerning there to me. All right, let's look at another sensor. Again, you have the time domain, And now you've got two big signals and one little tiny signal there. This is the main sensor signal, a little bit less than 2000 hertz, still pretty normal response for a piezometer. And then you've got a signal at 6000 hertz. Can anybody tell me why that is significant, that it's 2000 hertz and 6000 hertz? Anybody heard of harmonics? So when you play a piano and you hit the C note, that note has some level of other C notes on the piano. That's what's going on right here. You've got the main sensor, and then you have a harmonic, and it's able to be seen because if you multiply that main signal by an integer, you'll come out with the harmonics. So 2000 times 2, that's roughly 4000. You can see a little harmonic right there, but the next harmonic is more common. So is this bad? No, it's totally normal on vibrating wire sensors. It's fine. But with the ability to see it, we can eliminate any influence from the harmonics. Okay, this is one of the sensors that was a really problem sensor on the site. And when we were on site, it showed some evidence of where the noise source was coming from. Remember, that noise was sporadic, so it wasn't present all the time. And we just randomly sampled it. So first, we took a measurement here. It looks a little different than the others. When you look at the frequency domain, you can see one key signal right here. That would be the sensor. And then down here, you have another spike right there. And when you go down, that spike comes out at about 60 hertz. Why would that be significant? Any guesses? AC power, you got it. In the United States, where this dam is located, the AC power grid is 60 hertz. So anytime I see any sort of noise source in the 60 hertz or 50 hertz range, depending on where you live, I'm going to say, yep, we've got some AC power noise here. Now, that noise is present, and when you look at this, you can see the sensor signal going up and down fast, and then you can see this slower wave right there. If you were to look from the top of that wave to the top of that wave, it would be 1/60th of a second, and that is the influence of AC noise. So, what happened with the case study? When you switched to VSPECT technology, your old, on the RMU1 where we switched to the new technology, your old data had the spikes on the red and blue sensors, and now the data matched what you would expect it to. It matched the trends associated with the lake level. The other station that was left alone with the old technology had these dips in data. Those dips continued to exist. So the site conditions did not change. The noise didn't go away, but we were able to read the full sensor and filter out the noise with the switch in technology. So that's how we interpret vibrating wire sensors and eliminate noise. Thank you very much for your time.
You know the drill?
Yes. Saw that, so.
Okay, yeah, you organise with the prize.